Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, this video is going to be about dogs, the little boys, the simps, how they act, how they disrespect fucking people, and maybe educating them will help change them. Some women get mad when I talk about this stuff because it's like giving away their secrets, but at the same time, they don't really like these people either, and they're dangerous individuals. Like, okay, and also it's going to be about my thoughts and my evolution of thoughts, how I seen this stuff. Okay, so I've seen, for instance, like I was talking to a MMA fighter girl, and like all her groupies were just like, like all over me, but she didn't like respond to me like all fucked up. Like I was being playful with her, and I wouldn't want any female other than that. Like I wouldn't want one of these dogs or one of these dog owners to be in my life. But I had someone in my life, and you know, for a minute, like, you know, sometimes I'm judgmental, and I was like, hey, you know, this person's like kind of acting like an asshole. But you know, I quickly like seen everything they were dealing with around them, and it's like that's why like they turned into an asshole. It's literally like this person was being swarmed by everyone in the world. Like everyone who came around her was like, this was a higher class person, so the dogs came at her with like a little more respect than they do the average female. Like this person had like a lot to offer, and like somehow they knew that enough that they couldn't be like just completely fucking hyena and like go around and fucking terrorizing her and dragging her to the side in an alley and having their way with her, stuff like that, you know, that we would expect from a dog in these situations. But I would like, you know, I was kind of judgmental of this person because they had an attitude problem, and like I like people with attitude problems. At least they got something. If they have a reason to have it, you know, there's some people with an attitude problem who like are like have never tried to do anything. They're just like they're born, and then they think they're the smartest person and the strongest and the greatest person, and we could probably get to a bottom issue here where the person actually has no respect for themselves and they don't like themselves. You can see that a lot with people generally who are real far off on the dog scale. It's generally like a deep hatred for themselves that they won't admit to, and they won't solve the problem. You know, they won't fix themselves and they won't off themselves. So, you know, they just accept the position of being a hyena, and they embrace it. But I seen this girl, and like I thought she had an attitude problem at first, and I was like seeing like how she treated certain people around her a few times, and I was like, you know, that's kind of like a turn off, and you know, like you got an attitude problem, and it was like it felt unjustified. But it took a short time for me to see that, you know, this person was dealing with like 10 to 100 dogs a day, like emailing her or trying to call her because she had a business and stuff, and they would like call her business line and stuff, you know, trying to do the dog stuff. And it was just like kind of sick how some of these people thought they could like get their hyena paw in the door to speak with her, like through their aggressive nature. And I quickly seen like, you know, her attitude actually, you know, it was me being judgmental upon her, where she actually, you know, had to sit around and smash fucking people's heads in with a baseball bat if they got too close to her. You can see this when you study famous people like Madonna, and not that she's hot or anything anymore, but like she's someone. She still has all her talent and her brains and her ability, and she's obviously got money. But people like that, they have to hire security because the dogs are so thick. They're willing to kill her to get to touch her in the end, right? And it's like a big problem there. Almost all famous people have some sort of security entourage at one point or another. But people like Madonna generally have that all the time because it's just a dangerous world for them. And if they develop an attitude problem, it's not even really an attitude problem. So, I see, I was just being playful with this person, and the dogs came in quickly. The dogs, the dogs were probably actually jealous that I knew how to speak with someone like that, and I was, casual enough to play with her. I wasn't just, falling on my knees, oh, can I lick the toe jam out between your feet? And literally, I watched this, these emails flooding in. This person, would have had to hire, this was, literally this person's contact information, and these unknown stalkers were just, all up her ass all the time. And it's she's trying to run businesses, she's trying to run the world, she's doing stuff with her life constantly. I'm not going to go too much into detail because, I'm not trying to, call anyone out or defame anyone by name. And again, like I said, it quickly got to the point where understanding the situation, she's not someone who needs to be defamed for her bad attitude problem. She's someone who, really needs protection, and she's developed this almost hatred for the people around her because so many of them were preying upon her, and she couldn't have a life because she was getting 10 to 100 calls, messages a day from just unknown people who wanted to stalk her and wanted to get their foot in the door to eventually have sex. That's the reason why men and women associate with one another as sex. Other than that, these dogs wouldn't have any reason to speak with her, right? I mean, this is someone who acts like that. They're not interested in a person because they're intelligent. In fact, some people argue that intelligent women actually scare away men, and I could see that too because it's kind of like a game between a lot of people. I mean, so they men want a real stupid female. Unfortunately, I don't think they're as dumb as they act. I think they've got men right where they want them. Generally, they got boys right where they want them. And it's a niche. It's a lot of boys out there. There's not too many men. But I would see all this stuff, and she had developed a severe attitude where she would just cut off people really fast, but she had to because wherever she was going, people were all up in her business and stuff. And she's trying to do something with her life, right? She's intelligent. She right. Yeah, I don't want to get into it. If I get into the details, then people will be able to know. But I mean, they'll still worship her, right? They, especially in her prime, they would have still worship her. Some people might even like that. Some dogs might even like that more, where they think they've now met a woman who can kick their teeth in, and they're well, at least if she kicks me and breaks my teeth out, that she touched my face with her foot, and I'm in love now because she touched me, and that's love. I mean, at least I provoked her into that one chance where no other man has gotten to be touched by her before, but she kicked me in the face. And now I'm really in love with her. Before I was just infatuated, but now I'm in love with her because she kicked me in the face. now, when people act like this and stuff, does this like hinder other people? You could look at it as like, these attitude problems with the dogs or with the hyenas. You could look at it like it's getting in the way, but at the same time, when a person like that meets a male who's not a hyena, they kind of respect that person a lot more, because they're like, you're not like, these every other man I've met. You're not, or every other boy I've met. And then it kind of goes the other way, where like she almost like has that thing. She has that infatuation where she likes the man who doesn't, like get down on their knees and beg and grovel to her for everything. And I felt like that's probably one of the things that kept that person around a lot was, I didn't like fall to my knees and beg and worship her. And I treated her like a normal person. Maybe I should have treated her a lot better than that, but she respected that more. Just like this MMA fighter I was speaking to, like she actually responded to me, and she has hundreds of thousands of hyenas on her page. They're all she's like, they're selling her photos and all that, extracurricular MMA activities. And, to begin with, the only reason, men watch sports, or boys watch sports with women in it, is because they want to see naked women or halfway naked women. And, the women they're around will, beat their teeth out of their skull if they turn on porn or something like that. So they, hide that by being like, oh, I want to see women's sports. And it's like, they're not watching women's sports because they care about sports. They're watching women's sports because they want to see halfway naked women. I understand that. I don't want to watch women's sports. I don't even want to watch MMA, really, because I don't want to see women fight and bust each other's faces up, because then they'll be like dogs, and then they're going to be like the hyenas. They're going to look like a hyena, and then they'll probably turn into a hyena, because they'll no longer have that superior tool of beauty that they use to dominate the world. But I can see the volleyball thing, right? Volleyball's awesome. Volleyball girls look awesome. But do I care about volleyball? No. I'm just watching that. And girls aren't dumb like hyenas think they are. I've watched this happen around me, where one of the hyenas was watching volleyball, and his girlfriend was just sitting there like, what the fuck are you watching this for? I know why you're watching this. And it's like, it's not stupid, but at the same time, why doesn't he just put on porn or something, right? She's not as dumb as she's acting to convince you that you need to be her white knight and care for her and give her everything she wants. And she's not that dumb. Sometimes I wonder if the hyenas are actually smart enough to figure that out, even, because I'm not sure. But again, that kind of boils back down to the hyenas will do anything to get a woman to touch them, even if it's getting the woman to kick their teeth out of their head. At least they had a beautiful woman kick them in the face, and they may never wash that side of their face again. And I don't know, I felt bad. I seen this real quick, and I felt bad for the person. I mean, they explained to me what's going on, but they didn't have to. I seen it, within probably 48 hours of meeting this person, 48 hours of actually hanging out around this person and stuff, staying with them a few days. I seen it, and I felt bad for them because of the hyenas and stuff. And they had they're smart enough to set things up so they would actually like pit the hyenas against one another, but was that evil on their behalf? Because I mean, the hyenas weren't going to stay away, so why not put the hyenas to good use? So, like, I don't want to go too much into detail, and it might make it sound like it's a bad person to a person who's never, to a hyena especially. Like, I'm not sure if the hyenas understand that they're hyenas. Thanks, man. Can I get a light? Thanks, man. But I felt bad after a minute because I was like judging her. I have a different life, and I've had different people sin in my life, and sometimes they get. Let's just say, like I've had people who run the world in my life, and I've had men come into my life who were assassins and stuff, and they left the nations they were in after they got out of prison and stuff like that. And you could tell, like, I mean, I've hung out with some of these people, so I know, like, when they talk shit, I know the difference between a person who's running their mouth and a person who actually does something. Especially, like, if you hang out with them and you see him do shit, you're like, hey, he's really not, he's really not just like a buster running around making up some fake gangster life. This dude is, like, low-key crazy. But that's me, like, being judgmental about someone's attitude and who they are and what the world has shaped them into. These are sometimes self-defense tactics where you learn to deal with the world around you, and like you learn that you're in a world that's full of hyenas, and but what happens when you bring a lion out into that hyena world? It takes like 20 hyenas to attempt to subdue a lion, and even then, like, the lion might just fucking rip them all to shreds. But if it was less than 20, the lion would rip them to shreds. Now, is the lion evil? Do we look at lions and tigers like they're evil because of how they act? No, we look at them like they're the king of the jungle. And then we see, like, oh, hyenas trying to gang up on a lion. And we're like, yeah, tear them to these fucking shreds. You know what I'm saying? And, so I've been kind of judgmental towards some people in my life, thinking, hell, sometimes they've been trying to calm me down. And I was sitting there looking at them like, damn, like, you're off the hook and shit. And they was trying to explain to me I'm off the hook and shit. But I learned from being around these people, what they deal with and shit. And then I would research it to see, like, am I correct? Is this happening? And yeah, that happens. Like, because I did some research into Madonna's life, and she's got people trying to kill her, and they're not like people who want to kill her. They're people who want to touch her and have her touch him, and then they're people who want to have those people speak with him, and they'll do anything, down to becoming a serial killer, down to become a murderer, to murder what they love, in order to just have it close to them, have it talk to them, have it be able to touch it. And I try to look at that, like, you look at first, like, men are, like, boys are ruining the chances for men to get with women, and they're wrecking the women, and that could be so, like, but same time, eventually I didn't feel like the person was wrecked because they had an attitude problem towards everyone. I just felt like that person was entirely who they should be in order to live their life and be someone. Like, they literally had predators outside their door all the time. Like, I can't even tell you how much it was, but I could just tell by a few glances. It's like, wow, you got more emails than I do and shit, and these are like people who think they know you, and they're gonna lie and do whatever they can to get to talk to you. And I don't know how many people would probably try to speak with her to claim that they needed her and her business to work do something for her, only to find out that this person can't even afford their services, yet alone they have no use for, hiring people to do work for them and stuff. And so I don't know how many people probably tried to mislead them into, wasting her life when, like, clearly, like, someone like that doesn't get in the position they're in because they decide to sit around and waste their life with someone. But the hyena would gladly steal their time, most of the time knowing that they're never going to have a chance with that person, and that person's never really going to date them or have sex with them. Like, let's get real, it's all about sex. Like, I don't think most men care about anything else. Like, unless they're like a businessman or something, or a pimp or something like that, I don't think there's anything men think about other than sex. And then, like, their life turns to shit if they don't get sex. And then, I guess, maybe other than sex, they're thinking about how much they hate their life a lot. But this is just like a basic function in, like, men and women, boys and girls don't hang out when they're kids, right? Back when I was young, girls went and played with their Barbies. And then boys went outside and they played football. And there was no girls playing football. And even if there's girls playing football today, they don't play football with men because it's unfair. It's kind of pointless. But so there's really only one reason they come around. Maybe two. Like, some people are like, they have huge egos and they want to breed. They want to replicate themselves. They think what the world needs is more of them. And so there's two things. I genuinely believe that some people I've been around, like, they were more interested in replicating themselves rather than having sex with the female. So there's two reasons there, although there might be an unspoken thing no one ever speaks of, where a family unit is like a work crew. Like, you could attempt to call it slavery. Like, you have some children and you're like, well, these children are going to do all the work around the house and everything, and that's why I'm having children. And I mean, you could call it slavery if you look at it one way. You could call it family unit if you looked at it the other way. But I don't know how much of that family unit actually exists anymore. But I try to review all that stuff in a different light, because it's not necessarily bad for those who don't act that way, because those women are looking for fellow lions. The lioness is looking for a fellow lion, and when she finds that, she'll be much more appreciative, just like I'm much more appreciative when I find a female who runs businesses and is highly intelligent and physically fit and stuff like that. Like after dealing with hyenas for so long, people just trying to get their foot in the door any way they can, even if it involves, like, the only thing they get is the feeling of your foot on their face. Like, a lot of these hyenas seem to see as the first step to getting more. Even, you kind of notice that after a minute, you're a little more grateful when those things do come to you. And, so I'm not sure if it actually, like, racks the society. And then the women, they benefit largely. They can benefit a lot from the hyenas, but hyenas can be vicious and attack. So at the same time, you might hear women complain when hyenas attack them. Although I don't know how they're supposed to keep them out of their lives. It seems hard to do, but especially maybe if you're a female and you've never trained to fight or anything like that, it might be near impossible to keep the hyenas away and stuff. So you just make the best of the situation. But I'd still say that's dangerous, because I would see, like, where they would pit hyenas against one another. and that sounds like kind of vicious or something like that, but it's the hyenas were already there to attack. They were already there to try to get their lion meat, and they knew they weren't going to get the lion meat unless they took it, and the lion as well knew that the hyenas weren't going to get the lion meat unless the lion took it. And so they both kind of know the situation they're going into. So it kind of benefits them. Like the MMA girl I was talking to, I shouldn't say I was talking to her, but she responded to me, like, and not harshly as her groupies did. But like she was there because she's taking the hyena's money, and so that's the whole willingness of even how I could reach out to her over the internet. Is she was selling herself, right? Whether they're a fighter, selling autographs, selling their UFC autographs, or whether they're selling pictures of themselves or something like that. Like that seems to be like just a general theme. I don't want to say it's like new, just because OnlyFans is out now and every girl thinks she's like a Playboy model now because she can sell her pictures on the internet. It's not necessarily new. I think it's just the new technology has made it easier, maybe even safer too, because the lioness can choose which hyenas she allows around her, and she's safely away, like 1,000 miles away from some people. But I mean, we can look at people like Madonna, and we can see 1,000 miles doesn't keep a hyena away. 1,000, as long as they, I used to question why my ex had her real phone number and stuff, but it's like she's a businesswoman, so she has her numbers there for people who want to do business and people doing things with their lives, and generally, I don't think you would even have a need to speak with her unless you were like semi-rich. And she definitely didn't deal with like people who weren't rich. I mean, that's where the money is. Like anyone trying to sell a product, you're not trying to sell something to poor areas, except for like Little Caesars maker. Little Caesars made money by and helped the society by doing that. But people trying to make some money and make it fast, they know, you go work for like Joe Biden, you go work for Boeing, you don't you provide a product Elon Musk would want to invest into. You don't provide, if you want to make money, you don't provide a product that the local convenience store will invest in. Because it's not going to make you any money. You provide a product that Elon Musk and SpaceX would want to invest in because they have all the money. And if you have it doesn't matter what you have, you can work towards providing that service for Elon Musk. But I don't know. What do you guys think about this? This is something probably no one's talking about. I love talking about all that stuff, right? Like, the hyenas don't want to talk about it because they're hyenas, and they're like, the lions are on to us. And then, the lioness don't want to talk about it because lions don't talk much. But the lioness is like, the lioness also eats hyena meat. So she's not necessarily like trying to like alert the hyenas, like, hey, come over here so I can eat you, right? She's like, hey, what's up, hyenas? Come over here. Like, check this out. Man, we got this cool stuff over here. So placing blame one way or the other in a situation like that, there's just like all things. There's like different aspects of how you can look at things. And, I don't know. It's kind of like a rant, but all my rants are pretty in depth. I always trying to touch stuff that everyone else is scared to talk about. But even the lioness, I knew, like, she didn't like me speaking of this stuff. She wouldn't speak of it herself. She would like tell me what's going on. But if I would bring up the topic on my own rather than just co-sign to her bringing the topic up, like, she didn't like that. She didn't like me bringing up the lioness, hyena situation. But she would bring it up herself all the time. So she, I mean, if anything, she was the one educating me. I didn't really need to run my mouth. I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys think I'm pretty spot on with this? Let me know if I'm leaving something out here. We can look at it anyways, right? You pull the positives from anything. You get a negative situation, and there's one negative, and then there's a million other things going on around that negative. So just because the hyenas are circling the lioness, it doesn't mean that the